Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. I want you to know that you can view all our Sabbath classes live on IUIC TV. That's right, I said on IUIC TV. Download the app today. Shalom.
Hey, shalom, family. Most High in Christ bless. It is, well, first off, man, I'm really sorry that the congregation here in UK wasn't able to come out due to the situation, but hopefully this word will still get out. You can get edified by it. I know Bishop, myself, and the captains, we got a chance to take a look at the school, and really we're overjoyed. Thank you, brothers and sisters. You're doing a fantastic job here. So we commend you and ask the Most High to continue moving your spirit and help this thing grow. Bishop?
Hey, I'm very impressed with IUIC London. It's beautiful here. And like Bishop Kani said, I wish we could all had a chance to meet y'all face to face. Some of you I remember, some are new. I see the brother Danny from the Netherlands. We just met him 2 days ago. And I see he's in the Netherlands school already. All praises. So this word is growing. Sisters, I wish I was here. But we are going to open it up later on for questions and answers.
Yes, sir. So what we're going to go over today is the vision, laboring, and use the scriptures to give you examples of how our forefathers did labor and foremothers. So this is not just a man's mission. This is also a nation building. And it's going to take men and women to bring forth this work, and children on some level. All right, so let's begin with the book of Sirach, chapter 24. Verse 34. Cap, you want to read for me?
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 24 and verse 34. Behold, that I have not labored for myself only, but for all them that seek wisdom.
So listen to what the scripture says. It says, behold, that I've labored not for myself only, but for all them that seek wisdom. So in building a nation and the vision in this truth, and I've been over this many times in different classes, but I don't think it can ever be taught enough, because as we grow, the situations change, the dynamics change, and we have to be in front of this. But the point is that he said, I labor not for myself only, but for all that seek wisdom. So all our forefathers labored, and they labored to leave a record for us, so in these last days we can extract from it to learn what to do. Watch this. Let's stay in the same book. Read the verse before that.
Verse 33. I will yet pour out doctrine and as prophecy, and leave it to all ages forever.
Listen to what he said. I will pour out doctrines and prophecies, and I will leave it after I'm going off this earth for all ages. Thank the Most High that he put that spirit on these men to leave it for ages. Because now today what we're doing, the bishop, myself, all of us, is we're extracting from this now. We're pulling from this, drawing from it, things that were written aforetime was written for what? For us to learn from, to learn what to do. So just read verse 34 one time and we're going to move on.
Behold, that I have not labored for myself only, but for all them that seek wisdom.
And that's the reason why we're traveling. That's the reason why you see these classes are online every day. Because this movement is not a self-centered movement. It's about selflessness. All our forefathers were like that. Joseph was like that. He worried about his father and his brethren. Moses was like that. Every prophet that you could read, David was like that. The Judas Maccabees and his brethren were like that. James, Jeremiah, you can go on and on. And ultimately, the most important one, Jesus the Christ, that it wasn't for himself. Now, if all of us had that same mindset, that what I'm doing, I'm not doing for myself, but I'm doing it for the building of a nation, then great things we can do. And we're doing it right now. I'm seeing it right here. It materialize in front of our face. Watch this. For all that seek learning. Luke 17. The book of Luke 17 and 20.
Luke chapter 17, verse 20. And when he was demanded of the Pharisees when the kingdom of God should come, he answered them and said, The kingdom of God cometh not with observation. Neither shall they say, Lo here, or Lo there. For behold, the kingdom of God is within you.
So when it says, verse 20, and when he was demanded of the Pharisees, when should the kingdom of God come? He answered them and said, the kingdom of God cometh not by observation. It's not going to come by you just sitting there looking for it. The kingdom of God is within you. We bring about the kingdom. It's simple. The Lord said, when 144,000 men are sealed with the word, then the end is going to become. So our job right now is to raise up 144,000 men. And then he's going to bring about change. So we already know what the number is. We just got to go on and do the work. But like the bishop says, nobody's going to beg anybody to do it. If it's not in you, it's just not in you to do it. If you can't see in the scripture the urgency in doing it, so that's why we're traveling. You know, Bishop and many of these captains, their hours are tireless, day in, day out, between traveling, answering questions, teaching. Why? Because we understand the mission. We understand how we're going to get out of here. So if we understand that it doesn't come by observation, it lies within you, what is God trying to tell us? We'll get out of here when you guys figure it out. When you understand that your whole life should be dedicated to this, here where we're in right now, we're just buying time. So how do we make our life this? What are the examples are we going to pull from the scriptures to try to understand this is what life is about for us on this earth? Let's go to Ecclesiastes 12 in the last verse. Ecclesiastes 12. Now we read this very often, but I want verse 13, I should say.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
So the reason I'm reading this for, listen to what Solomon's saying. He said throughout his life and all that he's been through and seen and done, he understood the whole focus of life, the whole duty of you being born, the whole reason God has you here is to fear him and keep his commandments. That is your duty. That's why God gave us life, is to fear him and keep his commandments. Now, Solomon was a great example because what happened? He got caught up in the cares of the world, what the world was doing. He dabbled in it. He realized that it's all vanity, all this material stuff, expensive clothes. Now, mind you, I'm not saying not to treat yourself good, but expensive clothes, multiplying cars, multiplying houses, all that is vanity. It's going to go. He came to realization that he had all those things, and at the end, he still was not fulfilled. It took him a life to come to understanding the whole duty of life is to fear God and keep his commandments. So in keeping his commandments, what did he tell Peter? Feed my sheep. That's what our job is here, is to fear God and keep his commandments. So every sister out there that's hearing me, every flyer you hand to a brother or sister on the street, every flyer you hand out, every time you get the chance to share the word, do it. It's going to bring about our change. It's going to put us back into place. So I said Solomon's a good example because he said there's nothing you could do more than I've done. I've done it all. Who can do more than the king? What do our forefathers do? Let's read now. 1 Corinthians 16. So we're charging you, brothers and sisters in your city, to write these scriptures down, go back, reread them, see how you can put your brick into this, and see how you can bring about this change that we're trying to bringing about this kingdom. So we're going to read the book of 1 Corinthians, the 16th chapter, and I want to begin at verse 13.
1 Corinthians chapter 16 and verse 13. And it says, that ye submit
I'm sorry, 1 Corinthians 16 and 13, that's correct? No. 16.
Yeah.
Good.
Verse 13.
Yeah.
Watch ye, stand fast in the faith.
It says, watch ye, stand fast in the faith. Watch for what? Watch for the pitfalls that's going to try to destroy you. Watch for the signs of times, wars, rumors of war. Be sober-minded in these scriptures. Watch ye,
Stand fast in the faith.
meaning don't lose faith. Don't lose focus. Don't stand fast and firm in the faith. You're going to have obstacles coming in your life, financial obstacles. You're going to have obstacle temptations, lust, things, but keep your eye on the prize. The prize is the kingdom. The way to bring about the kingdom is 144,000 men have to be woken up. So the bishop and brothers understood that. So what do? We know, okay, we're teaching here in America, but okay, we're not going to wake up 144,000. We're scattered. You know what? We got to pick up and travel the world now. Stand fast in the face. Read on.
Quit you like men.
The word quit means to behave like men. Not like little children, not overly emotional, but like a sober-minded man. Read on.
Quit you like men, be strong. Let all your things be done with charity.
Let all things be done with charity. What is one of the attributes of charity? Charity thinketh not of its own. Remember we read earlier, it says, I labor not for myself only, but for all them that seek learning. That's one of the spirit of charity. You do not think of your own. You think of others. And that's the reason why brothers are up 5 o'clock in the morning teaching classes. That's why the bishop and everybody is traveling 2-3 weeks out of the month, not home, to their own families, because they understand the mission. Read on.
Let all your things be done with charity. I beseech you, brethren, ye know the house of Stephanus, that it is the first fruits of Achaia, and that they have addicted themselves to the ministry of the saints.
Listen to what the scripture says, that they addicted themselves to the ministry of the saints, to ministering unto the saints. That's part of understanding this mission, is you understand God's whole duty for you is to fear him and keep his commandments. They addict themselves to the ministry of the saints. So for all of you, for all of us, you see right here what you're building here in London, in Germany, become addicted to it. You wake up, this is what you do. You go out to your work to get money, but outside of that, your mind should be in how do you bring about this kingdom. Fervent, addicted to this. If everybody in their prospective bodies had that mind, great things we can build. Great things we can build to glorify God. Read the last verse again, Cap.
I beseech you, brethren, ye know the house of Stephanus, that it is the first fruits of Achaia, and that they have addicted themselves to the ministry of the saints.
They addicted themselves to this. Here's another one. 1 Timothy's. The book of 1 Timothy's, chapter 4. 1 Timothy's 4. Let's read verse 15.
1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 15. Meditate upon these things. Give thyself wholly to them, that thy profiting may appear to all.
When it says meditate upon these things, what things is he telling Timothy to meditate on? This is Paul speaking. Jump up to verse 13.
Till I come, give attendance to reading.
Meditate upon this Bible. It says, so let's go back, verse 15.
Meditate upon these things. Give thyself wholly to them.
Another word for holy is addicted. Give yourself wholly unto this. As what you put into this is what you're going to get out of it. Give yourself wholly unto it. Read on.
That thy profiting may appear to all. Take heed unto thyself and unto the doctrine. Continue in them. For in doing this thou shalt both save thyself.
Thou shalt save yourself.
And them that hear thee.
And them that hear thee. Goes back to I labor not for myself only, but for all those that seek learning. So you're going to save them and save yourself. Give yourself wholly unto this mission. So the scriptures are showing us, the Lord, the Most High, through his wisdom, is showing us, turn yourself over to this fully. Start setting your life aright. Scripture says, seek ye the kingdom of heaven first, and everything else shall be added unto thee. Many times the mistakes we make is we seek what we want first and then give God whatever's left over. And you can't bring it about like that. Read that last verse again for me, Cap.
Take heed unto thyself and unto the doctrine. Continue in them, for in doing this thou shalt both save thyself and them that hear thee.
And them that hear thee. You save yourself and them that hear thee. Watch this. We're going to go to the book of 2nd Ezra. The book of 2nd Ezra. I want 9. 10 and 6.
2nd Ezra, chapter 9, chapter 10, verse 6. Thou foolish woman above all other, seest thou not our mourning and what happeneth unto us?
So when you read the history, this woman was mourning about the loss of a child. And then the prophet Ezra had to tell a foolish woman, don't you see what's happening to us? What is he trying to convey to her? Read on.
How that Zion, our mother, is full of all heaviness and much humbled, mourning very sore.
He said, look at Zion, the nation of Israel. Look at the conditions we are in. Don't you see the whole nation going through turmoil? Read on.
And now seeing we all mourn and are sad, for we are all in heaviness. Art thou grieved for one son?
He says, the whole nation is suffering. And are you grieved just for your one son? What is he trying to convey to her? That this is bigger than just your one son. It's bigger than just your own self, your own life. All the forefathers, they paved the way of selflessness. So he was telling her, even though you lost your child, and I know it's a grieful thing, but you're mourning for one son. He said the nation needs healing. The whole nation is going through something. And many of us that travel and are out there teaching, we have our own personal lives. We have hang-ups and we got things going on at home. But do those things supersede you all? No. It doesn't. That has to wait. We have to build up the congregation. My personal life is secondary to the greater body. That's selflessness. Wasn't Christ walking in that same spirit? The apostles walking in that same spirit, how they labored like that? Let's go from that. First Maccabees. The book of First Maccabees, chapter 13. Chapter 13, I want verse 8.
First Maccabees, chapter 13 and verse 8. And they answered with a loud voice, saying, Thou shalt be our leader instead of Judas and Jonathan thy brother. Fight thou our battles, and whatsoever thou commandest us, that will we do. So then he gathered together all the men of war, and made haste to finish the walls of Jerusalem, and he fortified it round about.
This is Judas Maccabee brother Simon, and he was building back up the walls to fortify it before the battle. Read on.
Also he sent Jonathan the son of Absalom, and with him a great power, to Joppa, who casting out them that were therein remained there in it. So Tryphon removed from Ptolemais with a great power to invade the land of Judea, and Jonathan was with him inward. But Simon pitched his tents at Adida over against the plain. Now when Tryphon knew that Simon was risen up instead of his brother Jonathan, and meant to join battle with him, he sent messengers unto him, saying, Whereas we have Jonathan thy brother in hold, it is for money that he is owing unto the king's treasure.
So Tryphon was saying, listen, your brother owes money to the king's treasure. That's why we're holding him. Read on.
Concerning the business that was committed unto him. Wherefore now send 100 talents of silver, and 2 of his sons for hostages, that when he is at liberty he may not revolt from us, and we will let him go. Hereupon Simon, albeit he perceived that they spake deceitfully unto him, Yet sent he the money and the children, lest peradventure he should procure to himself great hatred of the people, who might have said, because I sent him not the money and the children, therefore is Jonathan dead.
What verse we at?
That was verse 18.
That was First Maccabees 3:18?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I want to jump up a little bit. First Maccabees
You said First Maccabees
13.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I want to read verse 8.
Verse 8. First Maccabees 13, verse 8?
Yes.
First Maccabees 13, verse 8. And they answered with a loud voice, saying, Thou shalt be our leader instead of Judas, and Jonathan thy brother.
So the point I wanted that was Simon saw the death of his brothers. He lost his life. His brothers lost their lives battling for the nation of Israel. He didn't now stand in a position where he said, you know what? My brothers lost their lives. I'm not going to do this. He didn't look at his life as though it was more important. He said, if they gave their lives, just like my father lost his life, or he died, I should say, just like my brothers died, I'm going to continue on this battle. And I always say this before, is that as we're growing as a nation, we're building, and we see brothers pass on in this truth. Some may pass on from teaching this word. It's our responsibility, if we believe, to continue on, to keep this legacy going. That is not about me. They jeopardized their lives behind this mission. Now watch this. Bear with me 1 second.
First Maccabees, chapter 2 and verse 27. And it says, And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, Whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me.
So now we're going to be spoiled by the Greeks. He told them, those that fear the Lord and want to maintain his covenant, follow me. What were they doing? They were picking up, leaving all that they had, leaving all their possessions to follow him, to maintain the laws of God. Now watch this. Stay in the same chapter. Jump to verse 49.
Verse 49. Now when the time drew near that Mattathias should die, he said unto his sons, Now hath pride and rebuke gotten strength, in the time of destruction and the wrath of indignation. Now therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the Lord, and give your lives for the covenant of your fathers.
You see what it says there? He told them, be zealous for the Lord and give your lives for the covenant of your fathers. Give your lives for this Bible. This is your heritage. Give your lives for it. And when give your lives just doesn't mean dying for it. It means give up what you want to do. Remember it says in 2 Corinthians, the love of Christ constraineth us. Give me that real quick. 2 Corinthians 5. 2 Corinthians 5, I think it's 13.
Second Corinthians chapter 5.
Verse 14.
Verse 14. For the love of Christ constraineth us, because we thus judge that if one died for all, then we're all dead.
So the love of Christ constraineth us. The love of Christ stops us from doing what we want to do, for being self-centered and selfishness. That we understand that if one died for all, then all of us are dead. All the old men in us are supposed to die away. The old man is what? A self-serving person. That's what the old man is. Think of the laws of God. Thou shalt not steal. What does that mean? You're self-serving. You have to have, so you want to steal from somebody else. Thou shalt not commit adultery. You want that so bad that you want to take from somebody else what belongs to that man for yourself. So read on.
Verse 15. And that he died for all, that they which live should not henceforth live unto themselves, but unto him which died for them and rose again.
Right, you no longer live for yourself. Your life no longer belongs to you. Your life, it belongs to Christ. It constrains you from what? Moving like an individual, moving in your sin. Now you're going to move as a body. You know your actions directly impacts this congregation or the greater body that you're part of. So we're seeing here, as we're here in the UK school, and we're seeing how the school's decorated. We know there was brothers. These sisters did the curtains. We see the works of our sisters right here. We're looking at it. We look at the chairs with the coverings and the menorahs, the artwork, the TVs hung. This came by people laboring, taking time out their life. You no longer live to yourself. You come and put your brick in to help build. And sisters, I'm going to touch upon a lot of our foremothers that had that same spirit. They had that spirit of building. All right? All right, now watch this. Ephesians 2. The book of Ephesians. Every time we come back here to this school, or other schools I should say, we steadily see us increasing and growing in numbers and in works. So we're going to be reading out the book of Ephesians, chapter 2, and I want Ephesians 2, double verse 16.
Verse 16?
Yeah.
Ephesians 2, verse 16. And that he might reconcile both unto God in one body by the cross, having slain the enmity thereby.
The enmity that was, when he says, and that he might reconcile both unto God, the both are talking about the northern and southern kingdom, bringing them back together. And it says, one body by the cross, slaying even the enmity thereby. The enmity that was between the northern and southern kingdom was a sacrificial law. Southern kingdom felt they were better than them because they were sacrificing. That was destroyed when Christ died on the cross. Read on.
And came and preached peace to you, which were afar off, and to them that were nigh.
And came and preached peace to you which were afar off, and to them which were nigh. Now we just read that as words. When it says preach peace to you, to them that are far off, what was happening? They had to pick up and travel. They had to jeopardize their lives to go through Ephesus and Corinth and these different places. Read on.
For through him we both have access by one Spirit unto the Father. Now therefore ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints, and of the household of God.
And that's the same thing here. The Apostles' Acts, we're doing it now. We see them. We're traveling these countries to let these people know that's way out in Africa that if you fit the curses in Deuteronomy 28, you're part of this. Those that are far off. You know something, teaching in America, after a while, it's very easy because easy to get around. But to pick up and go to Ghana, to go to Sierra Leone, to come up to Germany, these different places, it really takes a bit much. But we understand that they are also part of this greater body that has to be taught. So what's the next verse?
And are built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Jesus Christ himself being the chief cornerstone.
And are built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets. And built up upon the foundation of the apostles. And the Acts of the Apostles continue. Many of you men right here, you're the first fruits of London. London been asleep for 500-600 years, what how long it's been. You're the first fruit. Upon the apostles here will build up this church under Christ, which is the cornerstone. We always know that he is the sustaining force or power that keeps up here. But you are going to be the brothers that this England, Germany, France, Spain, that the people that come years later is going to be built upon. And here's the first fruits. So earn your name, earn your keep. Make your name who you are. Sisters, make your name in here. And it comes by addicting yourself to this. Make this all you live for. Money is just a tool to get by, to survive. At the end of the day, all this stuff is going to get burnt up. Only thing that's going to stand forever is going to be the word of God. And them that fit the curses, that endure. Everything else doesn't matter. So we have the example. I'm saying a lot, but we're going to get through it. Paul and them understood that. Moses understood that. He didn't care about being part of Egypt. Paul got rid of all he had. It didn't matter to him. Paul moved from city to city. Christ, John the Baptist was in the wilderness. He was the son of a priest. He had a good life. Nah, he understood it was a bigger mission. Read verse 20 again.
And are built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets, Jesus Christ himself being the chief cornerstone.
Read.
In whom all the building fitly framed together groweth unto an holy temple in the Lord.
It says, in whom all the building, and the building is a nation right now, fitly framed together, groweth unto an holy temple of the Lord. So what is it saying? At home, husbands and wives, building the church first, men being the priests in their household, bringing that family, that godly family, into a greater body here, bringing forth the gifts that you have, brothers and sisters, coming together in this greater body, fitly joined together. So what do you see? I'm going to use the UK because that's where I'm right now. Coming here, walked in. I see a physical place to where you're sitting here. I know one thing, the only way this rent get paid is if you all are donating. If you're putting your money to it, you have to believe. So you all, I can touch and say, okay, I know this place is here. Somebody helped build this. How did they pay for it? I see the chairs. Okay, fitly joined together. Brothers here see, oh, that brother has talent. Draw this artwork. What do you have for this? Okay, we're going to hang it up in the schools. Sisters, we need curtains. We need equipment. Building something greater than this yourself. And this is for all the other IUIC to see, and other schools, everybody to see that, look at the work of the Most High. Fitly joined together, it says, framed together, groweth unto a holy temple, and it will continue to grow if you have that mind. Built on the foundation of the apostles with Christ as the cornerstone of all things. Always understanding it's by him and through him that we're able to do this. What's the last verse?
In whom ye also are builded together for an habitation of God through the Spirit.
And we are built through the Spirit of God. I'm sorry, that's wrong. In whom ye also are built together for an habitation of God through the Spirit. And Christ, the Spirit of Christ and God comes down and will habitate with you. How do you know that? Right now, you're going through the scriptures. You understand what you're learning. God is dealing with you. We can do what the churches can't do. They can't open this Bible and explain it. It's just sermons and songs. God is dealing with us. How do we see? It just said it right here in verse 21.
In whom all the building fitly framed together.
Fitly means it's placed right. When you're building a building, you're not going to put the frame together and put a foundation that's weak and then put the heaviest part up top. You're going to put all the pieces where they belong. Fitly framed together.
Groweth unto an holy temple in the Lord.
You know what it's saying? Then it will grow when everybody is in their rightful place. So for whatever reasons the Most High chose on this earth, in the time he came, he decided to, he brought Bishop in. Taught him what he known for his purpose. You have your day when you brought in, and everybody's fitly put in their place. So if you want to grow here, respect who's put in what place. For whatever reason, God has it. And then you're going to grow. It has to be done in order. How God has put it together, and then you grow. Here's an example. Hold this. We're going to come back to Ephesians. Let's go to the book of Acts. Is it Acts 3, 3,001 day? Acts 2. Watch this. 41. 1 second, and I promise to you. Let's start with verse 38.
Acts 2?
Yeah.
Acts 2 and verse 38. Then Peter said unto them, Repent, and be baptized every one of you in the name of Jesus Christ, for the remission of sins, and ye shall receive the gift of the Holy Ghost.
So what was the chief cornerstone? Christ. Repent in the name of Christ. Read on.
For the promise is unto you, and to your children, and to all that are afar off.
And to all, for those that were in Jerusalem, and to those that are far off, the promise is for them also. Read on.
Even as many as the Lord our God shall call.
Even as many as the Lord our God shall call. So, what's happening today? Bishop, myself, many of brothers who came into this congregation earlier on, the skills we really had was street teaching. That's what we were. We were street teachers. And then the Most High started bringing in other laborers. He started bringing in video guys. Now, street teaching really was to impact the people in the communities we lived in. We were in New York City, so we traveled New York City and taught. But then the Most High sent in video people that took us around the world, that got us on YouTube. And even before that, Bishop was editing videos, but if you look at those to what we're doing now, those things are archaic. Sometimes I go back and look at it and say, wow, now he brings people who have other talents. And what happened? It's a reaching to all of you that was afar off. We was in Ghana a few years ago, traveling from the capital to Kumasi, and we stopped in I don't know if you want to even call it a truck stop. It was like a dirt patch. I don't know what it was. And there was a gentleman there that said, I know you, talking to the bishop. I know you. I've seen you. I'm like, there's no internet out here. There's nothing out here. How do you know him? He said, I saw you when I was in Europe someplace on TV. So what I'm saying, the people are coming in and the Most High is showing us where to fit them in the body. Here's the blueprint. How do they grow? So take these brothers that have that gifts. You don't worry about that. You may not be for camp, but you're going to be the video guy, and you're going to get this word out there. All right, you're the one that knows how to do IT work? Okay, we're going to move you over here and get you over here. Do this work right here. Make this, be the best at this. Okay, you do music, you do drawings. Okay, we need visual art. You do that right there. We have the pieces of the puzzle. Now is where do we fit them in building? Always remaining Christ as the chief cornerstone. So read on.
And with many other words did he testify and exhort, saying, Save yourselves from this untoward generation.
Save yourself from these ungodly people. Read on.
Then they that gladly received his word were baptized, and the same day there were added unto them about 3,000 souls.
That's growing fitly. It says they gladly received the words. They didn't go against Peter and say, who the hell you are? What makes you the man? They listened and gladly received, and as they came together and fitly together, again, God added 3,000 souls in one day. So have we really seen, well, listen, I can say Bishop, myself, and some of we've seen the congregation grow tremendously over the years. But this is just the small stages of what the Most High is really going to do on this earth. But if we have every mind thinking the same way according to God's commandments, everybody moving, nobody being selfish, Christ said they're going to know you're my disciples if you love one another. If we move like that, mighty works we're going to do. Mighty, mighty works. And sisters, I'm going to touch upon you all in a second. Let's go back to the book of Ephesians. Now I want Ephesians 4. Bishop? Oh, I missed something? Yeah, go ahead. Let's pick up in verse 42. In Acts 2:42.
And they continued steadfastly in the apostles, doctrine and fellowship, and in breaking of bread and in prayers.
And they continued steadfast in the apostles' doctrine. They didn't sway off into another doctrine. They didn't try to usurp the apostles. They continued steadfast in the apostles' doctrine, knowing that this foundation was built upon the apostles with Christ as a chief cornerstone. So it says what again, Cap?
And they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, and in breaking of bread and in prayers.
Read on.
And fear came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done by the apostles.
And many wonders and signs were done by them. I tell you right now, in this day and age, you're looking at the wonders being done right in front of you. There's nowhere we can say there's not a continent on this earth right now that there's not an Israelite that has woken up to this truth. I know when I came in, it wasn't like that. It was just in major cities. The Holy Ghost is working. That Spirit is working upon this earth right now. It's waking up people. People are learning. Somebody's understanding. Look, we have a brother right there, Brother Daniel, that we ran into just perhaps in the Netherlands talking, and the Most High's moving Spirit to come to the class today. All praises to the Most High. That's not all we're doing. That's the Most High's doing. So we're watching these wonders. We're watching how the work of the Most High is manifesting in our life. Let's go, but guess what? There's a lot more work in front of us, brothers and sisters. A lot more work. The book of Ephesians, Ephesians chapter 4. Ephesians 4. Philippians, sorry. Ephesians 4, verse 6. Still a little higher. Start with verse 1. We'll just read down.
Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 1. I, therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you that ye walk worthy of the vocation wherewith ye are called.
So, brothers, sisters, we better learn to walk worthy of the vocation that we're called. You're not called because of myself, the captains, the bishop. No, you're called of God. God has called you. No man can come unto the Son except the Father has called him. It says you better walk worthy. Just like you got a job out there, you gotta be on time. I'm telling you, simple things like being on time. That's important. You gotta be at work at 7:30. You always work at 7:30. Don't let the Lord's work 7:30. You get there 8:45. My bad. I forgot the flyers. No. Work worthy of the vocation of where you're called. Read on.
With all lowliness and meekness.
And with all humility and meekness, you walk in it. Not to become prideful. With all lowliness and meekness. Read on.
With long suffering, forbearing one another in love, endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace.
And you endeavor, meaning you got to work on it. Because many people are coming together with likes and dislikes, and you have to endeavor. You can't give up. You just can't walk away. I'm not dealing with you no more. If you really believe, people are quick to say that. Oh, I don't like that. I'm leaving. I'm never coming back. You was never part of us in the first place. You got your ungodly family, your uncle who's a little perv, your aunt, and you still let your uncle at Christmas come over, just sit him in the corner and watch him. Don't let him get up. He's a thief. Put away the jewelry. And you still deal with him every Christmas and Easter and Mother's Day and when somebody dies, that's uncle, can't trust him. And you never just don't stop dealing with him. But in here, we ready. You got to endeavor to keep the unity. Read on.
Endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. There is one body and one Spirit, even as ye are called in one hope of your calling, one Lord, one faith, one baptism.
Stop. I want to jump on down to verse 11.
Verse 11. And he gave some apostles and some prophets and some evangelists and some pastors and teachers for the perfecting of the saints.
So it says, and he gave some apostles and some prophets and some evangelists and some pastors and some teachers. He gave them for what purpose? Read on.
For the perfecting of the saints.
For the perfecting of the saints. They were set up for perfecting of the saints. That's what they're for. To help. I labor not for myself only, but for all them that seek learning. Read on.
For the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ.
For the work of the what?
For the work of the ministry.
It's for the work of the ministry.
For the edifying of the body of Christ.
And that's what we have. For the edifying of the body of Christ. Read on.
Till we all come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ.
It says, for the perfecting of the saints, for the work of the ministry, for the edifying of the body of Christ, till we all come in a unity of the faith. So he gave apostles, prophets, teachers, evangelists, that we walk worthy of the vocation that we call, that we endeavor to keep the unity until we all come in the unity of the faith. So our job is to go out and teach these people. Your brothers here, your job is to go out, teach people, be patient with them. Teach them the gospel of Christ. Teach them the commandments. Teach them how to build until we all come to unity of the faith and the knowledge of the Son of God, unto a perfect man, unto the measure of the stature and the fullness of Christ. And that's our mission. Until we grow up unto the measure and stature of Christ. Be perfect as our Father in heaven is perfect, the scripture says. Read on, Cap.
That we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, and carried about with every wind of doctrine, by the sleight of men, and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive.
Right. That we are henceforth no more children tossed about and carried away with every wind of doctrine. You're not easily swayed by doctrines. You continue in the doctrines of the apostles. So what you see us teaching here, the commandments in Christ, don't let nobody ever move you away from that. Don't let nobody take you into the Alex Jones day. I don't even know what he is. I can't even tell you. What are you talking about? Doomsday or whatever he talks about. Don't let nobody take you into Egyptology, that you're African, Christianity. It says, by the sleight of men and the cunning craftiness whereby they lie in wait to deceive. Read on.
But speaking the truth in love may grow up into him in all things, which is the head, even Christ.
Right. But speak the truth in love. Speak the commandments. May grow up into him. By keeping the commandments, you grow up into the fullness and measure of Christ. Grow up into him in all things, which is the head, even Christ. Here's the point. Verse 16.
From whom the whole body fitly joined together and compacted by that which every joint supplieth, according to the effectual working in the measure of every part, maketh increase of the body unto the edifying of itself in love.
So it says, from whom the whole body fitly joined together and compacted by that which every joint supplieth. Remember we read about fitly joined together before in Ephesians earlier, 1 or 2? Now listen what it says here. From whom the whole body fitly joined together. How they fitly joined together? We read earlier. He sent apostles, some teachers, some evangelists to the perfecting of the people. So from our perspective, what we're looking for is in the body, we come and we observe and we see people and we say, you know what? That man needs to be the leader right now. He needs the man set up right here to be over the camp. Now, many other people may not see it, but we'll say, you know what? He has a purpose to play here. That sister, let's put her over the children's room. Get her involved over here. She should be involved in sewing. That brother right there should be over security. And we're all playing parts in this body. Even the simpler part is the brothers cleaning or whoever cleans the bathroom. Very important to this. Imagine if we didn't have somebody who took the time to clean the bathrooms. Would have, or sisters, whoever's doing it, you would have filth. Those parts are very important towards it. But it says here, verse 16, from whom the whole body fitly joined together, compacted by that which every joint supplies. The word compacted means made strong by what every joint supplieth. So each one of you are woken up by the Spirit of the Most High because there's something in you that's necessary to building this nation. Whatever it might be, there's some skill or gift that God has given each and every one of you to help this body grow. So you better addict yourself to this, make yourself addicted to this, because without it, we're going to stay here. We need 144,000 men to come in. Come into where? A school in most cases. Think about what we're growing here. You think we could have done this just in somebody's house? No. The numbers come in when the school opened. People see a place to come to, a place of learning. They say, okay, these guys are serious. How do we know? Look at them. They look professional. Or they come sit on a dirty couch and somebody's, you're not going to grow very much. Now, in certain cities, you are in homes. I get that. But eventually, most highs you'll grow in numbers till everybody's going to start saying they believe, is going to have to actually put their hand in their pocket and take out money and put it down for the building of the nation. So the motion is going to be like this. That's how I know I believe. How are we going to, let's read it. Drop that real quick, Galatians 6. Galatians 6, verse 7, right? Yeah.
Galatians chapter 6 and verse 7. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap.
The Bible says, Bishop. The Bible says, be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, so shall he reap. Whatever you sow, you shall reap. So if you sow sparingly, you shall reap sparingly. Whatever you put into this, if you sow sin, you're going to receive death. If you sow righteousness, you're going to receive life. If you put a little into this, you're going to get a little out of it. If you study a little, you're going to have a little understanding. Whatever you put is what you're going to get it. God, now watch what it says here. Let's drop that. I want to go to 2 Corinthians chapter 8. Chapter 8. Verse 12.
2 Corinthians.
Now start with verse 11.
Chapter 8 and verse 11. Now therefore perform the doing of it, that as there was a readiness to will, so there may be a performance also out of that which ye have.
Listen what it says. Now therefore perform the doing of it, that as there was a readiness to will. People have readiness to will. Like say, yeah, I'm about that. I want to do that. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Yeah, it sounds good. I'm part of that. Right, that's right. The next part says what? So there may be a performance also out of that which ye have. Don't only say it, actually perform it. Make it come to fruition. Bring it to life. Guess what? Israel not in Christ was a thought. It was saying, let's build a congregation. Let's start. Now, you could say that, but to perform it is something else. You have to actually go out there, sacrifice your time to stand on a corner and tell people to repent week in, week out, people yelling at you, throwing things at you, spitting at you. Come home, get videos, edit the videos, put them up online, study, take your money out your pocket, buy the equipment. Now, you can say you want to do it, but are you going to actually perform it? Is the question. Now, watch what the next verse says. Read.
For if there be first a willing mind, it is accepted according to that a man hath, and not according to that he hath not.
It says, for if there be a willing mind to build, it is accepting according to what a man hath. It's accepted according to what a man has, what he can afford. It says, and not according to that he hath not. So a lot of times people will say, you know what? I want to do it. I want to help, but I'm broke. I really don't have no money. Meanwhile, they just bought a bottle of rum to drink after the Sabbath. I want to do it. I want to help, but things are tight. Meanwhile, they got the brand new iPhone, iPad, iMac, or whatever it is. Oh, I want to help. I don't have it, but they got cable with all the various cable channels. No, it's not a. You can always find a reason why you can't give or you can't do. Oh, I'm too tired. I just got off of work. Meanwhile, you stay up all night and you're flicking the channels, watching TV. You can find a solution. In 1,000 excuses, find that one thing that can say, you know what, I'm sorry. Somebody told me before, I don't have any time. I work so much. I'm working all these hours, 90 hours a week. I'm doing that. And I'm like, so when do you have time for your family? I mean, you don't take your family and go for a walk? Oh, so yeah, we go for a walk almost every day. So what do you mean? Where you go? So at least 2 hours. We walk around or every other day. I said, yeah. I said, to give them half that and give the other part to God. You can sit around while you're sitting around, fold flyers. Nobody works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Nobody does. So what he's saying here, don't have no excuse. Read the next verse.
Verse 12.
Yes.
For if there be first a willing mind, it is accepted according to that a man hath, and not according to that he hath not. For I mean not that other men be eased, and ye burdened, but by an equality, that now at this time your abundance may be a supply for their want, that their abundance also may be a supply for your want, that there may be equality.
So listen what it's saying here. Verse 13. For I mean not that other men be eased and ye be burdened. Meaning, it's not that you be burdened because you're doing everything. Another man say, to hell with it. He got it. Let him do it. If everybody say, I'm going to do it, like the school when it's time to clean up. School need to be cleaner, and if everybody take part and pick up what they put down on the floor. If you know you had a soda, a bottle of water, and a plate, and a napkin, and you pick up a bottle of water, a plate, and a napkin, even if it's not yours, if everybody, you clean the school in 5 minutes. You know what? I'm going to do better. I'm going to pick up 3 plates, 3 bottles of water, and 3 napkins. And if everybody does it, it gets done. So sometimes people, they get eased, and they let another man be burdened. It says, no. Charity thinketh not of its own. You know that brother's going to be here? Well, I'm going to go labor with him. I'm going to help him. And I'm not doing it for no other reason than I want to help build this nation. It says, verse 13, for I mean not that other men be eased and ye be burdened, but by an equality, that now at this time your abundance may be supplied for their want. Your abundance, the extra you have, is to supply the wants or the needs of other people. That was the mind of a forefather, Mordecai. He got into position. What he did? Help his people. Daniel got in position. What did he do? Help his people. Joseph got into position. What did he do? Help his people. Your abundance can be the need or the supply for somebody else. So you don't need to have 3 houses. You need 1 house to live in. You don't need to have multiplied cars. I got 13 kids and I got 2 two-seater cars. 1, I don't know what I put there, 2-seater for. Not saying don't treat yourself good, don't take care of yourself. But you understand you buying time. You got a brother who he's laboring and don't have means of transportation. Meanwhile, you wouldn't say, you know what, let me sell this and give half the money to help him go buy a car because he's been struggling. Brothers laboring, let's all pull some money together and help him get his place. Do you know the other nations understand that? We got a problem understand that because we still think this is all rest. Read that verse again.
Verse 14. But by inequality, that now at this time your abundance may be a supply for their want, that their abundance also may be a supply for your want.
And then when you are running across hard times, your abundance a supply for their want. What does that go back to? What Christ was saying. They shall know you're my disciples if you love one another. I tell you, in this congregation, we've had brothers and sisters pass on, and we've always been able to be in a position, all praise to the Most High, financially to take care of them. We never had to have them lean on their families unless they dealt with their families. We always were able to do it to the point that we was able to help other congregations that's not even part of IUIC who can't bury their own. They can't afford to bury their own, but they're buying liquor to pour on their graves. That's a nigger. And I know from some of you people that don't like that word. Well, it used to be understand. That's an ignorant Negro. We've in here are helping other congregations that hate us they cannot even deny themselves HBO and a cable bill to bury one of their own. Shame. You know what happened? Those leaders don't have the vision. They don't know how to, and when the people do give to them, they don't know what to do with the money, but blow it. They don't know where to put the people to do man, I tell you something. So we encourage you all to learn these scriptures. We encourage you all to get an education. How can you get into a career that can help benefit? We need doctors, lawyers, midwives, IT. We need smart people. We need law enforcement. We need people to train, whatever. Anything you have in your everyday life, we need in this truth. That's what the Lord said. Finish this real quick. Bishop, can you?
As it is written, he that had gathered much had nothing over, and he that had gathered little had no lack.
And that goes back to the blessings that the Most High gave our forefather, like on the Sabbath day. When he said, not on the Sabbath, but he said, prepare your workload before the Sabbath. And he said, remember, every 7 years we're supposed to give the Sabbath rest. So Israel was worried about what are we going to eat on the 7th year? He said, well, that 6th year, I will double the foods that you grow. That's what he said. And that same principle applies to us in its truth. If we do what the Lord has required of us these 6 days, the Most High will bless us abundantly. That's what Paul is reminding the church here at Corinth. What verse you at?
That was verse 15.
Go ahead.
Verse 16. But thanks be to God, which put the same earnest care into the heart of Titus for you. For indeed he accepted the exhortation, but being more forward of his own accord, he went unto you.
Okay, so verse 15. As it is written, he that hath gathered much had nothing over, and he that gathereth little had no lack. The one that gathered much in had nothing over. Why? Because we didn't read it yet. In Acts 2, they distributed to the apostles, laid at their feet to take care of the body. Let's read that again. We never finished that in Acts 2. So I'm going to read this again while the captain gets that. 2 Corinthians 8:15. As it is written, he that hath gathered much had nothing over, and he that hath gathered little had no lack. So when you have abundance, what do you do with it? And when you have little, where do you go? We're going to read. Here's the example.
This is Acts 2, verse 44. And all that believed were together and had all things common, and sold their possessions and goods, and parted them to all men, as every man had need. And they, continuing daily with one accord in the temple, and breaking bread from house to house, did eat their meat with gladness and singleness of heart, praising God, and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to the church daily such as should be saved.
So watch this. Remember, him that have abundance gave, and him that lacked was able to work off that abundance. Watch what it says here. Verse 44. And all they that believe were together and had all things in common. All those that believed were together and had all things in common. Had all things in common. Watch this. Read verse 45.
And sold their possessions and goods.
And they sold their possessions of goods. Now, that doesn't mean you take your house you're living in and get rid of it. That's not what it's talking about. It's talking about, because some people, the Christian church will tell you to give away all you have. Don't be stupid. Now, that's the Christian church lie, please. Leave you broke while the pastor's driving a Benz. No. It's saying when you have extra, people have multitude of houses, sell them. What's the need of them? All this is going to burn up anyway. That's not what listen. We're laying up treasures for the kingdom of heaven, not what moth and rust doth corrupt. It says, read.
And sold their possessions and goods, and parted them to all men, as every man had need.
And they parted to those. That's when Christ said, okay, you working together now. You understand this. You understand it's a greater mission. Bishop?
Those gave them to every man as they had need. These were people that were diligent in the body.
Right.
Not Johnny come lately bum that just sit there with, hey, give me. Not them spirits. Them spirits that was laboring. That's what they looked out for.
That labored and listened to counsel. Because you got people that ask you for your counsel, you give it to them, and they don't want to do it that way. And then when they fall on hard times, they want you to fix them. No. Scripture says you're going to have to pour with you always. Sometimes you got some people going to be ignorant. If you a sluggard, expect to be broke. So watch what it says. Read on.
And they, continuing daily with one accord in the temple, and breaking bread from house to house.
Here, they continued daily on one accord. So what were they doing? They were addicted to the ministry. They continued daily and was on one accord. Read on.
Breaking bread from house to house, did eat their meat with gladness and singleness of heart.
One mind. Christ is the foundation. Read on.
Praising God, and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to the church daily such as should be saved.
Praising God and having favor with all the people. So these apostles, they had a good reputation with the people because what? The people knew they wasn't selling stuff, and the apostles was going down there and spending and wasting it. They knew that. They had good favor. They could see the fruits of it. This congregation could see the fruits of what you all taking the money to do. Look what's happening right here. It's visible where it's going. It's going to build. The money to boost the club is visible. We're here. None of us could afford to do this on our dime. It's yours. The strength is within the body. I'll let you know. All we are just mouthpieces to God to bring forth this word. You all have the strength because by your belief, which is demonstrated by your works, by helping build, we're able to do what we're doing. Because without you, we could not do this. Singleness of mind, and that's how they're doing it. Singleness of mind. From there, is there more? I want to jump back, and then I'm going to come back to this part of it. The prophets. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 8. Wisdom of Solomon 8, verse 36.
Wisdom of Solomon 8. There's no verse 36.
Wisdom of Solomon 8, verse 8. I'm sorry.
Wisdom of Solomon 8 and verse 8. If a man desire much experience, she knoweth things of old, and conjectureth aright what is to come. She knoweth the subtleties of speeches, and can expound dark sentences. She foreseeth signs and wonders, and the events of seasons and times.
If a man desire much experience, she knoweth things of old, and conjectureth things what is to come. So if a man desire wisdom, what is he going to do? He's going to search through the scriptures. He's going to see how did they move before? How did the apostles move? How were they able to take the gospel from city to city? What did they do? How was they able to spread this gospel? How did Jeremiah move? So I always say when you read the scriptures, you can read it at face value, and then as you read it there and you grow in understanding, you start seeing much more wisdom in how things were done. It's like there's another part of this Bible that you have to tap into as far as visualizing. Like example we read before with Joseph, 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine. And it was like, okay, the question was, how was Joseph able to know how much to hold back through those 7 years? 5%, 10%, 20%, so they can have it for the 7 years of famine. You start seeing, okay, God put a wisdom on him to know how to move for the future. So when it says here, if a man desire much experience, she knoweth things of old. So if you desire experience, she knows examples of old that you can follow and mimic or not mimic. It says of old. And conjectureth aright what is to come. A person with wisdom can have foresight and see what's to come. Here's a foresight. 144,000 men are going to repent. We know that. Why? Based on the scriptures. So what should we know? Okay, where are they located? The Bible says they're going to be scattered all over the earth. So we know to reach the 144,000, you're going to have to travel. So I have to set myself ready. I have to get a passport. Let's build up here first, get a good foundation of states, leave men here in place, and let's pick up and start moving. That was the example the apostles did. After Christ went back to the Father, they set up men, Stephen and these different men, and they began to do what? Go out and start traveling, getting the word out, moving other places and pushing this gospel. They understood that. Whither will he go? Like they told Christ, whither we go to the disperse amongst the Gentiles, to teach the Gentiles? No, Christ went to Samaria, but after that, he told them, go low, go into all the world. Well, so when we read it, and I'm mashing a lot together real quick, Isaiah 11, when it says it's going to be an ensign for the nations. Let's go to that real quick. We'll come back here.
Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 10. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious.
In that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which is Christ, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. Okay. The ensign is going to be a sign to the nations. Now, how's that going to happen? You think the root of Jesse is going to come and go and say, hi, I'm Jesus? No, the word has to be taken to them. We're going to rule Africa, places out there. It doesn't just materialize by just, like it just osmosis. You have to come out and you got to labor. The kingdom comes not by observation. So guess what? The vision is, the prophecy is to know, conjecture things that are to come. Listen, we got to pick up. We got to get up into Europe. We know right here, we got brothers up. There's brothers in Germany. Oh, man, we got to get to them. In England, Spain, France, South America. You have to put your life aside, many of you brothers. And you have to go to these places and go find these people. And how do you find them? On the highways. You have to jeopardize your life for this. This is the vision. This is the long-term vision for us. And if Most High call us home, that you brothers continue on and you sisters continue on doing this. Is there more? No. Verse 12.
Verse 12. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel.
And that's what we're doing right now. We're assembling the outcasts of Israel, the scattered. Read on.
And gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth.
And we're gathering together. Like I said before, that doesn't happen just by saying it. You have to actually put the work in to do it. Read on.
The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim.
How are they going to learn that unless they be taught? They have to be taught. That's our job. That's our job, to go out there and teach these people. So it's by labor it's going to happen. It's by labor. So we're trying to set up these cities with strong men and women. And once this city is established, we go out and try to establish other cities. And do this until Christ's return or we die. Because we know all the rest of the stuff don't matter anyway. Back to Wisdom of Solomon 8 and 8.
Wisdom of Solomon 8 verse 8. If a man desire much experience, she knoweth things of old, and conjectureth aright what is to come. She knoweth the subtleties of speeches, and can expound dark sentences. She foreseeth signs and wonders, and the events of seasons and times.
And that's what wisdom gives you. It gives you foresight. The prophets had foresight. Noah, foresight. Moses, foresight. Joseph, foresight. Daniel, foresight. Mordecai, foresight. John the Revelator, foresight. Ezekiel, foresight. Deborah, foresight, the prophetess. Christ, foresight. And today, the prophets of the last day, foresight. We know he says what to do. What does he tell us to do? Zephaniah 2.
Zephaniah 2 verse 1. Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired. Before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as the shaft, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you.
So what does the Lord tell us? Here's foresight. Gather yourself together. Don't think of yourself. Don't be an individualite. Yea, gather together the nation that's not desired. That is us, the Israelites. Before the decree bring forth. So that's what we're out here doing. Gathering us back together. Before judgment comes on this earth. But you can't gather together if they're not fitly joined together. So everybody have to know the part they play. And like I said before, I don't care where you fit in this body, you're important to it. I don't care if you're the one that cleans the bathrooms. You're just as important as everything else in this body to make this thing work. Maybe more important than most. Let's prove it. Corinthians 12. I want verse 10.
1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 10. To another, the working of miracles.
I'm sorry. Verse 4.
Verse 4. Now there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit.
Spirit is Christ. One Spirit, one mind. But diversities of gift. Read on.
And there are differences of administrations, but the same Lord.
Saying the same thing. There's different in administrations in this body, but the same Lord. Read on.
And there are diversities of operations, but it But it is the same God which worketh all in all.
Now listen to what it's saying. God is working in all these different diversity of spirits, different administrations, but he's working in all of us. Read on.
But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal.
But what?
But the manifestation of the Spirit
It says, but the manifestation is to be made aware, to make clear. It manifests in you what your purpose in here is. Some brothers are excellent street teachers. Some are excellent counselors. Some are excellent classroom teachers. Some brothers have the spirit of prophecy, can bring the scriptures to modern day. The manifestation of the Spirit, but it's all to building one thing. Read on.
And there are diversities of operations, but it is the same God which worketh all in all. But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal.
Wait, what? But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal. Read on.
For the one is given by the Spirit the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit.
Wisdom, when it says wisdom and knowledge, wisdom is to understand the scriptures. Knowledge is to know how to use it. Here you go. You can have wisdom, but you don't have the knowledge to know when to shut up. So you can have all these scriptures in you. Remember it says, what if wisdom reigneth down skill? That's Sirach 1. So you can have wisdom, but how do you take it? How do you move it? Wisdom with experience will now teach you there's wisdom in shutting up sometime. Read on.
To another, faith.
Some people are strong in faith. Read on.
To another, faith by the same Spirit. To another, the gifts of healing by the same Spirit.
And some have the gifts of healing. Some people tell you, take these roots right here. It'll make you feel better. It'll settle your stomach. Do this. Read on.
To another, the working of miracles. To another, prophecy.
Well, those miracles were those days they were to raise the dead. Read on.
To another, prophecy.
Read on.
To another, discerning of spirits.
And some people have the gift to discern spirits in the body, saying, you know what? We should use this brother for that. No. The Spirit has shown me this is where he needs to be at. Put him right here. Watch, you'll see. Some people have that gift. They can read people. They're like, he's full of crap. I don't know why I'm saying it for, but I know he's full of crap. Just give it a second. Let's just see. Read on.
To another, diverse kinds of tongues.
And we know what? We met a brother, the same brother, Daniel, from, what's the country name? Arisha. He was speaking, he said he speaks 5 languages. We have brothers that speak multiple languages. You have the gift of tongues. That was, for whatever reason, God moved you on your journey of life and moved you someplace where you learn to speak Creole, you learn to speak English. Some speak Spanish, English. Some speak Creole, Spanish, English, Aramaic, or whatever. I don't know. That's a language? I don't know. It is? Aramaic. Oh, okay. Whatever. You know. So God gave you that gift. For some brothers, I asked when he was talking the other day, I said, what? Ezekiel in the Netherlands. And I was saying, what was in it in God's wisdom to say, because I can't imagine picking up and living in Germany. No, I mean, well, I don't like Germany, but not to the brothers there, all praise, I'll come visit you, but I couldn't imagine there. And I said, for whatever Most High's wisdom, move their path of life to be there. So they came out the States, they have experience, they could speak English, and then put them there. And the purpose is, and some of those brothers was there from the 70s, was for what? 2018. 40 years later, you went there 40 years ago for today. Because now the word has come to you, all brothers are there, and you can go teach them. Don't ever take that for naught. The Most High is working a work, and all we are pawns in this big puzzle that he got going on to be used and give our life over to it. Because for life of me, I can't imagine being in Germany. But the Most High set you there for a special purpose. He set me in Babylon for God. He set me in Babylon for. Read on.
Diverse kinds of tongues, to another interpretation of tongues. But all these worketh that one and the self same Spirit, dividing to every man severally as he will.
And given to every man severally as he will. What verse are we at?
That was verse 11.
I want to see. I don't know if I want to read all this. I'll read on.
For as the body is one, and hath many members, and all the members of that one body, being many, are one body, so also is Christ. For by one Spirit are we all baptized into one body, whether we be Jews or Gentiles,
Scattered Israelites.
whether we be bond or free.
And back then you had some that were free men and some were bondmen. When you get a chance, in the book of 1 Peter 2, it talked about us being servants. Read on.
And have been all made to drink into one Spirit. For the body is not one member, but many.
So the body is not one member. That's why Christ said, endeavor to keep the unity. They shall know you are my disciples if you love one another, because you're all going to come together with one mind. One focus is to what? Building back up and establishing the kingdom of heaven, and it's not going to come by observation. It's going to come by hard work. It's going to come by problems and solving them with the scriptures and seeing the big picture. Here's the thing. For many of you people that are newly in this truth, even if you fully don't see it, it's okay. We understand it takes some time. Just follow. Just follow. Once the teaching is not against the commandments of God, just follow. You have enough discerning to know if it's breaking God's commandments. If it's not, follow. Because we see the mission. We understand it. We've been at this for a very long time in our short lives. We've been at more than half our lives for many of us. So just follow. We understand there's a bigger purpose that God is moving right now. Now, our job is to try to convey it to you so you can understand. Just like a parent with a child. Sometimes you tell your child don't do something, they don't fully understand. They don't got to understand. Just do it. It's going to work out for you in the long run. What verse you at, Cap?
That was verse
Verse 13.
12. Now we have verse 13.
Okay, I want to jump on down. I don't want to read all that. Let's read on down to verse 21.
Verse 21. And the eye cannot say unto the hand, I have no need of thee, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. Nay, much more those members of the body which seem to be more feeble are necessary.
So when it says the eye can't say to the hand, I have no need of thee, and when you read up above, it gives you different body parts. It is an analogy of us. The foot can't say, the man just walking in can't say to the bishop, I have no need of thee. And the bishop can't say to the foot, I have no need of thee. The power is within the body. One piece of like I said before, really what we're just doing is just teaching this word out loud for you all to be edified. Now, I'm not saying it's a small thing, but all of you play parts in it. So in a body, the head can't say to the hand, I have no need of thee. I don't need you, hand. Okay, you don't need me? So when it's time to eat, what are you going to do? Oh, here comes a rock. The hand is going to have to help the head. Vice versa, the hand can't say to the head, I have no need of thee, or the hand will just sit there. It's the mind that thinks until you pick up to do something. What is it saying about the body? It's the same thing. And the part, verse 22.
Verse 22. Nay, much more those members of the body which seem to be more feeble are necessary.
And the parts of the body that seem to be more feeble are the most necessary part. So the brothers, or you sisters, you young brothers just coming in, or you sisters that's in here, we need you. Hand out these flyers. Direct them to Israel not in Christ. Show them by your actions that you're believers. Wear your fringes every day. Let somebody question you, be able to explain your faith. And that goes for you sisters too. Every flyer you hand out is one step us getting closer, because certainly we can't hand out flyers everywhere. Every gift that God has given you is most necessary to this body. Read on.
Verse 23. And those members of the body which we think to be less honorable, upon these we bestow more abundant honor. And our uncomely parts have more abundant comeliness.
Yeah, and our uncomely parts get more honor. You know what our honor is? For captains, bishops, us coming in, we come in, people stand, salute us, they'll give us a gift or whatever. That's we get. You get more honor out of this. God looks at those that doing those works that most people won't want to do, clean the bathrooms, fold flyers and stuff like that. That's why I like to do that, because I always want to say, Lord, I'll fold a flyer. I want to be part of the floating flyer committee. I want to do some of that stuff because I want some of that stuff, because God said you get the more abundant honor. And good leaders understand it, because the greater you are, the more humble you to become also. But there's a great sacrifice in folding 5,000 flyers. getting his word out. You know, we could sit in the hotel and come up and say, okay, we'll teach for over 2 hours and then go back. But somebody staying back and doing the other work. Read on.
For our comely parts have no need, but God hath tempered the body together, having given more abundant honor to that part which lacked.
He said he tempered the body. We read it, compactly fitted together. He made the body stronger by what? Compacted by what?
Having given more abundant honor to that part which lacked.
He gave by giving. That's how he made it stronger, by giving honor to the part that lacked. So if all of you coming into your prospective cities, that's helping, that's donating your time, your prayers, your finances to help, that's what makes this body strong. Because we can't do it without y'all. The here in London, the leadership here can't do it without y'all. And we understand that. And we're clear. We're not, what's the guy with the tight shorts they had on? The pastor. Just carrying him in a chair. The guy with his taking pictures of himself, sent to boys. Eddie Long. Nobody's asking you to pick us up in a chair and walk us around like we some. That's all fallacy. Look, if Eddie Long is dead, where's his movement? What we're trying to build is something that's going to last beyond us. That's what the prophets did. They labored and let forth this gospel, and it's still here today. And when we leave this earth, if it be the Lord's will, he doesn't return before then, that this machine keeps moving, keeps growing. And we always know the key is Christ being the chief cornerstone. Once we don't lose that, focus on that, then everything else is going to fall in place, because we're going to, the commandments come into play. They're one and the same. So read on, Cap.
That there should be no schism in the body, but that the members should have the same care one for another.
That the members have the same care one for another. That's how there's no schism in the body. That we have the same care for y'all. That we all care for each other. That we have honor and respect into the congregation that we're part of. And that we're going to help make this the best. And when I came here, and the bishop and the captains, we walked in here and we said, okay, London, we see you all know what you're doing. Okay, we know that somebody cares. Trust me, I look at the small little details. Trust me. Very little I miss on the small little details. I look at the floors, the walls, if they're clean, the curtains. Let's see how they look. The backdrop. I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, everything looked like and somebody had to do it. When somebody else was sleeping, somebody was doing it. And we salute you all. We salute you all. We praise the Most High for you, and we exhort you. But guess what? We want to see you all do more. And it's right for me, I can tell you, and I know the bishop, when he saw it, he's like, yo, we're going back to the state, and we're going to get on and say, nah, we saw something we want to see over here. So y'all should be give yourself a hand of applause, give the Most High, because y'all did it. I'm going to go back and say, I want that in that school. I want us looking like that right now. Raise the bar. That there should be no schism in the body, but that all members should have care one for another. Read on.
And whether one member suffer, all the members suffer with it. Or one member be honored, all the members rejoice with it.
Right.
Now,
stop. And when one member suffer, they all suffer. Watch this. Let's go to the book of Acts. We're going to run through these real quick. Give me another 20 minutes maybe. Acts 9. Because I said I'm going to touch upon the sisters real quick. I want to show you, sisters, you got a part. Your part is not just to lay on your back and make babies. You got more to do. You're going to have a husband to attend to in some cases, and you're going to have congregational duties to attend to the body. Acts 9:36.
Acts chapter 9, verse 36. Now there was at Joppa a certain disciple named Tabitha, which by interpretation is called Dorcas. This woman was full of good works. And this woman was full of good works and alms deeds which she did.
She did good works and she did alms deeds. This woman was full of good works. She was addicted to this. Read on.
And it came to pass in those days that she was sick and died, whom when they had washed, they laid her in upper chamber. And forasmuch Lydda was not to Joppa, and the disciples had heard that Peter was there, they sent unto him 2 men, desiring him that he would not delay to come to them. Then Peter arose and went with them. When he was come, they brought him into the upper chamber. And all the widows stood by him weeping, and showing the coats and garments which Dorcas made while she was with them.
So listen. She passed on, they called for Peter, and when Peter came, he came to the people, he saw them all weeping. Why? Because she had a good name. She was respected. Her alms deed spoke for herself. How do we know of that? Because we're reading about her today. The Most High saw it fit to mention her. And they were weeping, and they began to show her works. Look at all the coats that she made. Look what she did for us. Look how she dressed us. Read on.
But Peter put them all forth and kneeled down and prayed. And turning him to the body said, Tabitha, arise. And she opened her eyes, and when she saw Peter, she sat up. And he gave her his hand and lifted her up. And when he had called the saints and widows, presented her alive.
Read on.
And it was known throughout all Joppa, and many believed in the Lord. And it came to pass that he tarried many days in Joppa with one Simon, a tanner.
So 2 things I'm going to get out of this. Peter was traveling, doing the work. He wasn't sitting in Jerusalem. He was all over the place. They called him from one city to the next city. But the point I want out of it is that our sister Tabitha Dorcas, her work stood for who she is. So in the day, and Bishop always say this, if it ain't on camera, it didn't happen with men that go to camp. But I always say it's very good for you brothers to go out there, go out and teach, keep a record. Because years later, you can go back, if Lord spare your life, and watch the videos and said, I was part of this. I was there. I know there was a time we was going to go to Beale Street. I'm like, I'm not going to these. I'm not going there. And Bishop said, so you're going to miss the war? You sure you want to miss it? What struck me is that one day they're going to talk about it. And they're like, yeah, we was out there. And I want to be able to say, yeah, I was there too. Then be saying, yeah, I heard about it. I don't want to be part of the hear about it crowd. You want to be part of be about it crowd. I was there. I'm telling you, it's a good feeling. Lord, spare your life 10 years later, you can go back and look at it and say, okay, I've done this. I've done that. I was part of that. Or you just want to be the cheerleader on the side, just saying, yeah, I heard about it. That's when your men go into wars. Acts 18.
So what you were saying about Dorcas, she had such good works. Everybody loved her.
Yeah.
She was a Proverbs 31 sister.
Oh, absolutely.
So the sisters online, they should want to pattern themselves.
Right.
Some of your sisters, you know what I'm talking about, in America too. Some sisters' name you mention, and everybody get a screw face and suck their teeth. You don't want that kind of a reputation. Sisters, when your name is mentioned, you want everybody to light up. That sister's good right there. Yes, her. Everybody knows her name. Everybody. That's the reputation you want. Not, no, her again. Yeah, who's she talking about now? What, she don't want to do nothing? That's typical of her. She always got a hand out. Up there she goes. You don't want a reputation like that. You want a good Dorcas Tabitha, Proverbs 31 sister reputation.
You know, one sister I'm going to mention, because we always speak about it, and she always strikes me in my mind, is Deacon Malachi's wife. Every time I hear her name, there's never nothing to say about her. Never, nothing. And I always commend it. I always say, man, I like how she patterned herself. I like how she keeps herself, because you can never have nothing to say. I've never one time, and I look at people, you say, name, they go, not with her. Very good. Very good point. And listen, that Proverbs 31 woman, she wore many hats. She wore many hats. I'll tell you something. We don't forsake it. We'll get on you women, but we don't take for granted the job of a woman, of a mother, of a wife, having to have to juggle a husband, children, the congregation helping. It's a lot. Because when we go to bed, we ain't trying to get up and change no diaper. We ain't trying to go get no medicine for the baby. Not that we won't do it. But if you there, you doing it. Because when the gunman come, we going to the door. We ain't asking you to go for the gunman. We going to go. If you in order, we going to go. If you ain't in order, I ain't going. I'm like, you go see.
The wife go, somebody downstairs. The husband go see who it is.
Go see. Somebody, I don't say. But here's the point. That's our job. Our job is to lay down a life for you. But the Proverbs 31 women wear many hats. So how does this tool back into building a nation? We read about Dorcas, how she was loved. Acts 18, 2 and 3.
Acts chapter 18, verse 2. and found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, lately come from Italy with his wife Priscilla, because that Claudius had commanded all Jews to depart from Rome, and came unto them. And because he was of the same craft, he abode with them and wrote, for by their occupation they were tent makers.
Okay, Paul abode with them. But watch this. Jump to verse 24.
Verse 24. And a certain Jew named Apollos, born in Alexandria, an eloquent man and mighty in the scriptures, came to Ephesus.
So this man was a Jew, mighty in the scriptures. He came into Ephesus. Read on.
This man was instructed in the way of the Lord, and being fervent in the spirit.
He was what?
Being fervent in the spirit.
He was addicted in this word to be fervent in spirit. Read on.
He spake and taught diligently the things of the Lord, knowing only the baptism of John.
He only knew the baptism of John. He wasn't taught the baptism of Christ. Read on.
And he began to speak boldly in the synagogue, whom when Aquila and Priscilla had heard, they took him unto them, and expounded unto him the way of God more perfectly.
Perfectly. So check this out. This man was fervent in the Lord. He knew the word. He was diligent. But a husband and wife, they both helped instruct him. Now, does that mean the wife usurped authority over the man? No. But she had her testimony of her transformation into Christ. And she understood her part. She did the work. So, sisters, when you're out in the street and somebody comes past you, hand them a flyer. And if they ask you who you are, why do you say that? You can open the Bible and explain to them, I'm an Israelite. And then you direct them to the teachers. You guide them to the teachers. But you had a sister that understood this. And she expounded on Christ more perfectly. So it doesn't mean that you women can lack understanding. You can gain understanding on your salvation, and you should have it, and how to help others. It says the elder woman teach the younger woman. Let's move on real quick. Romans 16. It's got a few more. Oh, good. Romans 16. So I was saying, she didn't usurp authority over her man, but she went and explained her testimony concerning her conversion over to Christ. So it says she understood the Bible, is the point I'm making. Let's read. I asked for what?
16:1.
16:1.
I commend unto you Phoebe, our sister, which is a servant of the church which is in Centria.
So now, well, listen what Paul said. He said, I commend unto you, O sister, which I commend unto you Phoebe, O sister, which is a servant of the church. She also put in her brick in. Read on.
That you receive her in the Lord as becoming saints.
As becoming saints. You receive her in the Lord. She had a good name. Read on.
And that you assist her in whatsoever business she have need of you.
And this is what Paul told him. That when she come to you, be an assistant and helper in whatever needs she have of you, because she also is a servant of the church. Read on.
For she have been a succour of many, and of myself also.
Guess what? She has been a succor of many. She was a help to many. And Paul said, including myself, she was a help. So sisters, your responsibility is not just to your husband only. Yeah, it's come sisters. I've seen sisters before on the Sabbath prepare a plate for their husband and look grand. And they give a little, here, peanut butter and jelly to the next Negro. No, you're a servant to the church. You understand the word my Lord is no different from saying bishop, no different from saying captain. It's a title. No different from saying soldier. It's a title. Is there more? Yeah, read the next verse. Look.
Greet Priscilla and Aquila, my helpers in Christ.
So he told you the same Priscilla and Aquila that was kicked out of church in Rome, he said greet them also, because they also were his helpers too in Christ. So they had a relationship with Paul. They went and helped the other brother to learn the ways of Christ. They had a name. They would try. Their name was going around the cities known to who they are. Watch this. Go to Matthew 26. Matthew 26.
Matthew 26, verse 6.
No, give me 26 and
13.
Yeah.
Verily I say unto you,
Start with verse 12.
Matthew 26, verse 12. For in that she had poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, whatsoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this that this woman hath done be told for a memorial of her.
Now watch this. Let's go a little higher so they get it. Yeah, start with verse 6.
Matthew 26, verse 6. Now when Jesus was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. When Jesus understood it, he said unto them, why trouble ye the woman? For she hath wrought a good work upon me.
So stop. So the woman began to anoint Christ. So she was anointed for his burial. And his disciples didn't understand that. They said, why do you do that for? This could have been sold for much and the money given to the poor. What does that show you? That the Most High was dealing with this woman. The apostles didn't understand what was happening. Most High gave her foresight to understand, prepare him. That's why I said the Spirit of, don't let nobody fool you women think the Spirit of God can't be upon you. God could be dealing with you, but you still know your order. Even with that, you don't, what? Usurp authority over man. So the apostles, it was over their head. And Christ said, leave her alone. She's done a good work. Read on.
For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always.
Read on.
For in that she had poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial.
Now, she understood. God instructed her and put the Spirit on her and sealed in her mind, I need you to do this to Christ, to my son, and prepare him for his burial. Read on.
Verily I say unto you, whatsoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this that this woman have done be told for a memorial of her.
Listen to what the scripture said. Christ said, for because of that, wherever this gospel is preached in the world, that what she's done been told for memorial of her. Make a memory of what she's done. And in 2018, we're still doing it. So you sisters have a part to play. You sisters have a part to play. She had to prepare him for his burial. She had to anoint him. And Christ instructed us to remember that and make mention of her. So every time we shut down camp in whatever city we in, what do we go to? Matthew 26. And we bring that in remembrance because Christ reminded us. Acts 16. Acts 16, verse 14.
Acts chapter 16, verse 14. And a certain woman named Lydia, a seller of purple, of the city of Thyatira, which worshiped God, heard us, whose heart the Lord opened, that she attended unto the things which were spoken of Paul.
Now watch, it says, to whose heart God opened, her mind. What? So God was dealing with her. He opened her mind. Read on.
And when she was baptized in her household, she besought us, saying, if you have judged me to be faithful to the Lord, come into my house and abide there. And she constrained us.
He said, listen, she said, and when she was baptized and her household, so everybody in the house was baptized along with her, she besought us saying, if you judge me to be faithful to the Lord, come in my house and abide there. What did she have on her? The spirit of hospitality. She knew if she did that for the saints, to the least of them, she's doing it for Christ. What did she do? Open her house up to take care of God's saints. Big job. Big job. Jump to verse 40.
Verse 40. And they went out of the prison and entered into the house of Lydia. And when they had seen the brethren, they comforted them and departed.
And when they went out of the prison and entered into the house of Lydia. Now, I don't have time for us to read it, but go back up. Think about it. The persecution of the church. They're being persecuted for this word. Lydia opened their house to take them in. Now, she jeopardized her own place, her own residence. Because the one thing you didn't want to do was be attached to these men that was looking like they were causing insurrection. But she didn't care. She found herself faithful. She said, nah. People would shy away. When Christ was being crucified, Peter's like, I don't know him. I don't know who this is. She said she didn't care. She said, when these men were coming out of prison, y'all come and stay here. That's how strong her faith was. He said, if you consider me faithful, all these examples are left in the Bible for us to extract from. We could just read it as words on the page, or we can seal them in our mind as instruction and start patterning ourselves after our forefathers and foremothers that moved like this. And I really want to go through this for the women to show you their job is more than just lay on your back and cooking a plate of food. You all have a purpose. God has given you this wisdom just like he's given us. You all play a part in this. It's not just a man's movement. It's if we fitly join together, then we can do this. The book of Luke, chapter 10. Book of Luke, chapter 10. Thirty-eight. Yes, thank you.
Luke chapter 10, verse 38. Now it came to pass as they went, that he entered into a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha received him into her house.
Right, and Martha received Christ into her house. Read on.
And she had a sister called Mary, which also sat at Jesus' feet and heard his word.
Now, remember what we spoke about earlier. She received Jesus into her house. Again, being attached to Christ in the eyes of men wasn't a thing to really be attached to, because he was hated. Many of them had churches in their home in secret, fearing the persecution, fearing being put out the temple. So read that verse 39.
And she had a sister called Mary, which also sat at Jesus' feet and heard his word.
And who also sat at Jesus' feet and heard his word. Read on.
But Martha was cumbered about much serving, and came to him and said, Lord, doest thou not care that my sister have left me to serve alone? Bid her therefore that she help me. And Jesus answered and said unto her, Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things. But one thing is needful, and Mary hath chosen that good part, which shall not be taken away from her.
Right, so Martha went to start complaining and saying, look, I'm the only one serving here. Why don't you get Mary and tell her to do it? He said, Martha, listen, don't trouble yourself with that. Mary has another job that I have for her, and she can't be taken away from that. So sisters, another lesson in that, don't get focused on what anybody else is doing. Make sure your calling and election is sure. Make sure you're doing your part. If sisters are not helping in something, that's on them, because on Judgment Day, they're going to have to answer to God for what they did. As you sow, so shall you reap. Now, you're not doing it for the eyesight of men or whatever. If they leave you for yourself, so what? If everybody decide they ain't doing anything, you brothers, you still hit the street and teach. But it don't matter. If it's you by yourself, you hit the street and teach. Read, record, and teach for yourself. Because when Judgment Day comes, you have to answer for your own works. So he told Martha, don't worry about what she's doing. She has another plan. Here's the point behind it. Martha didn't know that nor see it, but it wasn't for her to see. So let's read that one more time. I want to explain it again. Let's start from verse 38.
Now it came to pass, as they went, that he entered into a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha received him into her house.
Receive Christ. Read on.
And she had a sister called Mary, which also sat at Jesus' feet and heard his word.
Right.
But Martha was cumbered about much serving, and came to him and said, Lord, doest thou not care that my sister have left me to serve alone? Bid her therefore that she help me. And Jesus answered and said unto her, Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things, but one thing is needful, and Mary hath chosen that good part, which shall not be taken away from her.
Right. So again, I'm just going to be redundant. Mary and Martha both labored. They were seen and attached themselves with a man that was not loved in Jerusalem. They had no problem being along with him. They dealt with him. Remember, we read about the prophets with in Lydia, taking Peter and them into their house after they came out of prison. being attached to people that's not desirable. Today, being attached to Bishop Nathaniel is not a desirable thing, to be honest with you. Everybody can't stand his gut. But guess what? We understand that Most High set up laborers. He told Martha here, don't trouble with what Mary's doing. Don't focus on that. She has a job, and I'm saying that because sometimes you see sisters doing some things, some not doing anything, and it's because they may have a different office. And if they're not doing anything because they're lazy, what you put into is what you're going to get out of it. Just make sure you do what you're supposed to be doing. Bishop said that. He said, I'm not worried about who go out and do it. He said, listen, if you're going to sit home and not teach, that's on you. I'm going to do what I got to do, because in that day, I'm going to have to answer for my own actions. So let's move from that. Now let's see this, about Mary and Martha. John 11. A couple more scriptures. We're going to wrap this up. John 11, verse 5. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm. Watch this.
Hold on. John chapter 11, verse 5. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. When he had heard therefore that he was sick, he abode 2 days still, the same place where he was.
Now look what he did. Jesus loved Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. He loved them. Why? Because they was there. When he came into the house, they received him. She took care of him. She took care of the apostles. He's like, man, I love these people right here. Why? Not by what they said, but what they were doing, what their works was. They was part of the mission. They was servants striving to help. Again, I tell you, it wasn't a favorable thing to be attached to Christ in that day. You feared being put out the temple. But they loved Christ. They loved the truth. They loved it so much that they're like, whatever it costs, I'm going to be part of this. Watch this. Let me stay right here. Okay, let's start with verse 1.
Verse 1. Now a certain man was sick, named Lazarus of Bethany, the town of Mary and her sister Martha. It was that Mary which anointed the Lord with ointment, and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. Therefore his sister sent unto him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom thou lovest is sick. When Jesus heard that, he said, This sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God might be glorified thereby. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. When he had heard therefore that he was sick, he abode 2 days still in the same place where he was. Then after that said he to his disciples, Let us go into Judea again. His disciples said unto him, Master, the Jews...
Stop right there. So he abode there 2 days after he raised Lazarus, stayed with them for a while, and then he went to Judea. Here's another point I want to make. What was Christ doing? Laboring. He was out there traveling from city to city doing the work. He was out there teaching people. So that's who we pair ourselves against. We see what he was doing. After Christ left, what the apostles did. They went out and went from city to city to city teaching, picking up here, setting up men. That was their job. And then now in the last days, as we're being woken back up, what's the job? To go from city to city, do the same thing again. How do we know that? We read here. Remember it says they could foresee and conjecture things aright. They go back and we just mimic the good works. And the bad works we just don't do. Watch it. John 19. A couple more scriptures I'm done. John 19. 19:25.
John chapter 19, verse 25. Now there stood by the cross of Jesus his mother and his mother's sister, Mary the wife of Cleophas, and Mary Magdalene.
Now that name Cleophas, you know he was a Judite. Only Judite named people Cleophas. Read that again.
Now there stood by the cross of Jesus his mother and his mother's sister, Mary the wife of Cleophas, and Mary Magdalene.
Okay, I know we've read that many times, but now try to, in color, in your mind. Christ is up on a cross being crucified. The only person that's going to stand by him are those that are strong in faith. You don't want to be, Peter didn't want to be attached with him. I don't know him. Hell no, they're killing. Who was there? His mother. Mary Magdalene, the same Mary that was in the house wiping his feet. What happened? And Cleophas. These people were believers. People, I'm telling you, when Esau turned up his heat, is we're going to find out who really believes. Because right now it's Mickey Mouse time. I mean, nobody ready to get thrown in jail for night. Trust me, we ain't at that point. And Most High know we ain't ready for that. He's building up our faith. But you're going to find out, because you have a lot of people that's going to ease back away for you. Ease back away. And then you're going to have those that's going to come. You know why? Then those that's going to come close to this. The ones that's going to cleave stronger is going to know this is supposed to happen. It's supposed to happen. And you know what? They don't value their earthly possessions. They don't even value their life. Moses was like that. He didn't value that stuff. He didn't care about it. He know there's a greater purpose. Peter understood that when he got thrown in jail. Came out of jail, what did he do? Hit it right back on the corner, right back doing the same thing. Because I ought to obey God rather than men. This is how you build. When people see that, people come in and start growing. Wow. I'm telling you, the Most High is doing the work in this earth. Thank the Most High for sending Donald Trump in the White House. I love his arrogancy. And the Most High, he crushes that. But with that comes what? More affliction. With that, we're going to go harder for this word to raise up more people. So please, everybody, hit the street sisters, pass out flyers, raise up our young ones, teach them, get our young boys fervent in these scriptures, get our young daughters fervent in these scriptures, that we leave something in place for the generation to come. But read that again.
John chapter 19, verse 25. Now there stood by the cross of Jesus his mother and his mother's sister, Mary the wife of Cleophas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus therefore saw his mother and the disciples standing by whom he loved, he said unto his mother, Woman, behold thy son.
Stop. He says, when Jesus therefore saw his mother and the disciples standing by whom he loved, why did he love them? Because they was in the cut. They was about it. They didn't try to flee. They was right there. Even though they would have to jeopardize their lives to be there and possibly be grabbed by the Romans. By the priest saying, oh, that's one of them also. He's like, okay, I see you about to work. I see you deny yourself for me. So if you deny yourself for me, I'm going to glorify you. That's what he wants. That's the building of a nation. And those are people that you follow. People that you see doing the work, that's jeopardizing themselves. Not sitting back in a Eiffel Tower sitting back, but that's on the front lines. That's out there doing it. Those are the people who we applaud and we thank the Most High for. And then when they tell you something, how about you just listen? Okay, 2 more scriptures. Mark 16. Yeah, I guess we could read it. (16:1).
Mark chapter 16, verse 1. And when the Sabbath was past, Mary Magdalene and Mary the mother of James and Salome had bought sweet spices that they might come and anoint him.
So this is after he's crucified. Who's again there? Mary Magdalene, Mary, his mother, and Salome. They came and they anointed him again. Still there. Now, mind you again, they're coming. I keep on trying to paint the picture. They're coming to the sepulchre where he was at. Remember, the Pharisees sent men there because they thought they was going to steal him out. These are women jeopardizing their lives. That's putting themselves in harm's way. To do what? To minister unto the Lord. This is actually them putting in physical labor, work, getting up, getting spices, going to the sepulchre to go anoint him. Read on. Let's stop. Just drop that. I said 2 more scriptures, 4 more scriptures ago. Matthew 16, 25.
Matthew chapter 16, verse 25.
Start with verse 24.
Matthew chapter 16, verse 24. Then said Jesus unto his disciples, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself, and take up his cross and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it.
Read on.
For what is a man profited, if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul?
Read on.
For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works.
To his what?
To his works.
He's going to reward you to what you've done to bring about this kingdom. So when it says up earlier, verse 25, it says, for whosoever will save his life shall lose it. Meaning, you don't want to make your life uncomfortable. You want to keep the finer things of life. You want to still say you serve God, but you don't want to suffer on no level. You don't want to sacrifice something for it. Sacrificing sometimes is sacrificing sleep, sacrificing money, sacrificing your wants for somebody else's need, sacrificing time, staying up late, ladies, and maybe sewing an extra garment for a brother. You see brothers going to camp, they don't got no wives, and their garments look a little tattered. Tell them, listen, brother, take the shirt, give me that shirt, let me fix it, got some hope. It don't got to be your husband. These men go out in life every week and stand in the corners and jeopardy their lives. I always say to sisters, when those men walk through those doors on the Sabbath, you should be applauding them, thanking the Most High, glorifying the Most High to bring those men back safe. Losing your life means you give away what you think you want and what for somebody else. So if there's any brother that's not your husband, that's there, he got no wife, you know what? Prepare a little extra food and make sure he has something to go home. Sew his fringes on and make sure they don't look tattered because he's representing the Most High. His brother, buy him a shirt that his shirt don't look washed out, a garment. It says, who will lose their life shall find it. For what? It says, for what if a man profit? It says, what? For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his soul? Or what shall a man give exchange for the soul? What's you going to give exchange for your soul? It's nothing worth it. Watch what it says. For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works. His works is what you literally do, is what he's going to reward. That's why he said he loved Lazarus and Martha and Magdalene. Because when he was thrown in prison, they came out, they was with him. When he was on the cross, they was there. He said, these are the ones that I can tell because they right here right now doing the work. No excuses. No excuses. Philippians 3. Three and 8.
Philippians chapter 3, verse 8.
Yep.
Philippians chapter 3, verse 7. But what things was gained to me, those I counted loss for Christ. Yea, doubtless, and I count all things but loss for the excellency of knowledge of Christ Jesus my Lord, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things, and do count them but dung, that I may win Christ.
You understand what Paul's saying? Paul said, I had position, I had prestige, I was a man respected, and I gave it all up, and I lost all. Paul couldn't have went back to Jerusalem and be the man he was before, because when he went back, when he was in Jerusalem prior, he was a man. He learned under the greatest of teachers. He had a reputation. People knew who he was. He said, all that didn't mean nothing. What was more important, that I lost all of that, and I counted as nothing to understand the knowledge of Christ. Can we all say that we understand the knowledge of Christ? Then you have to let go of this world and what you want, and you have to understand it was all about building. And what did Paul do? Travel from city to city, shipwreck, beaten, let down in a basket to get this word out. Hope you all brothers see that when you see these, and your sisters see that when these brothers are going to these countries, they're walking into places where, first of all, they don't even speak the language, so you don't know what they're saying about you. Are they going to make it out of that throng of crowds? We go to countries like Ghana, where it's, and I'm not exaggerating, there's a bus, we're on a bus, and there's 30, 40,000 people in the street that could flip this bus. We go into places we never been to go preach this word. Why? Because we understand by our works, faith by works. So I'm going to stop there. Hope it was edifying that you were able to receive something from this class. I want you all to go back and meditate upon those scriptures and find what you can extract from it from your life and make yourself a better servant of God so we can build this mighty kingdom and glorify him. All right, brothers and sisters? With that, say shalom. And we're going to open up for some questions right now.
Hey, real quick. Look at, just because Bishop Kani made a statement several times. He said, being associated with Christ was not a glorious thing. Let's look at, real quick, John 19:38. Actually, go to John 9:22 first. John 9:22. A lot of times we don't realize that just being associated as a follower of Christ, you was in trouble.
John chapter 9, verse 32.
22.
Verse 22. These words spake his parents, because they feared the Jews. For the Jews had agreed already that if any man did confess that he was Christ, he should be put out of the synagogue.
You see that? If anybody confessed Christ, they was put out of the synagogue. Remember, in Jerusalem, you had the main temple where you had to go there every 3 times of the year. Mm-hmm. If you confess Christ, you were not allowed to enter into that. Y'all got to realize how devastating that must have been to many people. Now look at John 19:38.
John chapter 19, verse 38. And after this, Joseph of Arimathea, being a disciple of Jesus, but secretly for the fear of the Jews.
He was a secret disciple. Why? For fear of the Jews. For fear of the Jews. He feared the Jews putting him out of the temple, out of the synagogue, so he was following Christ secretly. He didn't want nobody to know. But this day, he had to make his calling and election sure. Go ahead.
Besought Pilate that he might take away the body of Jesus. And Pilate gave him leave.
So now you got to examine that. He knew that if he confessed that he was a follower of Christ, then all the Jews would see him and say, you know what, that damn Joseph of Arimathea, don't let him back in the synagogue. He had to take a stand that day. He said, I've been a secret disciple all this time. You got to imagine it. What's going on through his mind? Am I going to stand on the wayside? Or am I going to go get his body back? So that's what many Jews fear. So now let's bring all that up till today. You got the Southern Poverty Law Center on a campaign to demonize Israel United in Christ. It's going to get to the point where people are afraid to associate with us. Watch. Some of you online right now, like there's two brothers and a sister that pulled back out of following the Lord. Now they joined up with the apologetics and the pseudo apologetics, right? Now I wasn't really with them. I was just there, and I'm with y'all, with the white man. You're gonna see some of y'all online right now gonna be the same way, and it's gonna be all right. All right for us, but not all right for y'all. Just watch.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are how men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.